And we are off. First thing we want to look for is the 3 chests that they're going to find in the throne room of Tanticle Castle. We have gold, an herb, and a magic key. So we're going to have a fairly standard start here. One thing you might notice is that with this newest version of the randomizer, we have quite a few new sprites. Tyerenex is rocking the Red Wizard right now, and I believe gameboyf9 is the Prince of Canic from Dragon Warrior 2. And gameboyf9 having trouble with the Drakey. They do not have a very high attack power, it appears, so this could make the early grinding pretty challenging. Looks like in this one, with the strength that they have, the slimes and red slimes are going to be their only chance to get some levels.
Hello everyone and welcome to Randomania. Ferran Burgundy here, filling in for a moment as Reusation had a bit of a delay getting in on here. And I'm going to provide a little assistance here at Tilo's request to kind of keep the action going here for you. And answer a question in chat, why Game Boy is resetting. Our runners are looking to hang on to that roughly 500 to 750 gold that they got at the start in the hopes of finding a town nearby that they can spend that cash on and get some weapons or armor or something to help them along here.
And we do see a town coming up on Game Boy's screen. That may have worked to be a pretty good move on his part.
And it's the town that nobody loves until now. It's Breckenary, good old 6 town. Let's see what we have here that might help Game Boy F9 out. And, well, a little bit of a help with the leather armor. It's about all he's going to be able to afford. And looks like joining us in here is Reusation. Give you a chance to settle in here, and then I'll tag out to you here so you can help bring the action alongside Tilo.
Alright, appreciate it. Thank you very much for filling in there for Ron.
Every little bit helps. I'll be back at 9 here on Randomania for the third of our trifecta here tonight. Actually, a quadrifecta if you include late into the night. But I'll turn it over to you guys and catch you later here on Randomania.
Good evening, Ryu.
Good evening, Tilo. Give me just a moment to get things pulled up. Sorry about my tardiness.
Not a problem. The story so far is very, very low attack power, and so grinding's been a little challenging, but Tyerenex did finally reach level 2 and got 28 hit points. That's going to be a nice boost. And I believe Tyerenex just found Swamp South based on the fact that he could go up but not down from the staircase, so we may have a pretty small early continent.
Those are always a fun one where everything is on the other side of the swamp. And I see we have, looks like the male fighter and red wizard for our sprites today.
Game Boy F9 now discovering the swamp cave and deciding to just go ahead and make the trip to the other continent. But the golem was having none of that.
Yeah, I mean, if you can actually make it through the swamp cave, it's always a plus, especially if it happens to lead into the back of Garenham. It gives you a couple of free chests to pick up, as well as the potential of finding more once you leave that city. Or town,
Tyerenex
rather.
has stumbled upon Rimmeldar, and so is going to have the opportunity to buy some keys.
Always a great time when you can find Rimmeldar, get access to the treasury of Tantagel, plus the basement, which can lead to something more favorable, such as Mountain Cave or the Grave. A potential gold grind becomes available, and then you can, of course, purchase things that are in the Rimmeldar shop. We do see he does have a small shield now, at least. And I see a red slime is actually kind of giving Game Boy a little trouble there. That's a bad sign when red slimes are tough to defeat.
Yeah, that's what's made the early grinding so brutal. But with all that hit points game on level 2, Tyerenex is looking like he looked like he was going to be able to chip away at that Magidrake until he decided to give him Hurtmore.
Oh man, Hurtmores from Magidrakes. That is a shame, as Magidrakes would be a good source of experience early on, but with having Hurtmore, you really don't want to try and play with them. So far, Tyerenex with only a slight experience lead and advantage over gameboyf9, who is a reigning champion from last year. And we do see Tyerenex does make a play for the treasury. We get the Stone to Sunlight, we get a free herb, we get some wings, and hopefully something useful in this last chest that the soldier is guarding and is continuing to guard. Just a torch. That guard did not want you to have the torch. You know, take candle. So it looks like unless the basement holds something a bit more useful, such as Mountain Cave or the Grave, perhaps the Vanilla Stones of Sunlight Cave, also known as the Bonus Cave, it does not look like we're going to see a gold grind be available here. And with a fair amount of gold on Game Boy now, looks like we're going to see him go ahead and pick up some more keys, and we have another town from Tyerenex.
Cantlin.
Ooh, the veritable shopping mall. Not currently really enough to be able to check what coordinates we have, but if they are some small coordinates and it lead to the armor, that could also be a good advantage early on. And some decent gear in the first shop, at least.
That one's nice because Breckenary and Rimmeldar have not had an affordable weapon. And with the low power they have, finding things like the Copper Sword and Hand Axe in that shop are going to be very nice.
Alright, we see the second shop has magic armor. The best armor you can buy, at least. So if they were to be able to find a way of grinding some gold, it would be a great way to get some decent armor to combat some of the early enemies, especially those Magidrake as well, since it would give you defense against the hurt and Hurtmore spells. Unfortunately, Tyerenex runs into a knight who says goodnight.
And it appears that the inn in Rimmeldar was holding an herb, which came up empty because he already had maximum herbs.
That is unfortunate, having to spend 2 keys and not even getting at least an herb out of it since he was full.
And the ghosts showing they have sleep, which ordinarily isn't that big of a deal, except for in this situation, they're going to take several attacks to chip away at them.
Oh, nice. So we have Hawksness sighting from Game Boy, as a Goldman will send him packing back home. So Hoxness, along with Cantlin, being very close to Tantagel here, so we have a lot to be found, it seems.
Yeah, and slightly further north of those, we also got Breckenary, so who knows, maybe we'll have everything in this small little area.
A single continent with everything right next to each other, it is very possible. We have seen that happen before. Ooh, and a rogue scorpion will stop Tyerenex from getting to see what that town was.
These magicians with baby breath have been wreaking havoc.
Yeah, fire-breathing magicians, I mean, they are a magician, so I mean, I guess it's a little bit to be expected, but you're hoping for maybe a hurt or heal or something instead. He's the advanced studies magician. He was the tryhard there.
Gameboy deciding to leave take another shot at the Drakey.
Ooh, and a Charlock sighting for Tyerenex, deep in the forest over here. Now the Drakey's, I mean, it's only worth 3 experience, but if he can take it out, it would get him at least to his first level here. Ooh, but it has heal more.
Eternal Newbie in chat here is making a very good point that at this point, now that they have seen Cantlin and seen that it has a hand axe, there was gold in the throne room to start off, and it could be worth it to reset, take the gold, and get the hand axe, because you could mow through enough enemies to get back to your current experience count pretty quickly.
That is certainly true, especially in Gameboy's cases. The only thing he's received is 2 experience so far, with being 12 minutes in, and then we have Tyerenex only at, now at 17, finally getting to level 3 12 minutes in. And we at least get some decent stats that level, a little bit more attack power, allowing you to be able to take these enemies down a bit easier. Such as the Drakey, now he can one-shot those. And Hoxness being so close to both Cantlin here, along with the castle, depending on what the boss monster is, could allow for a very lucrative grind, and an easy one at that. Oh, and an excellent move, only doing 4 damage to the ghost, not allowing Gameboy to take it down.
And Gameboy gets his next level, where he can start actually killing monsters.
Oh, he'll definitely be happy to see that with the 7 strength and then that 28 HP that you mentioned before. That is certainly a nice level to see.
There are some nice starting hit point, magic point totals for level 3, at 53 and 40. They don't have any spells to make use of the magic yet, but they're nice totals to start off with.
At least they'll be prepared once they do get a spell. It's always a little disheartening when you get something like Hurt More very early on, but you can only cast it twice because you have 10 NP and that's it. And Gameboy is still trying his luck with those magicians, but no luck at all here. And Tyerenex taking down a Scorpion, and that will get him to level 4 now. Wow, 13 more HP, 13 more MP, but still no spells to use it with. Seems our spells are a little backloaded this time around.
Yeah, this is the point where you'd really like to go and try to grind at a slightly higher, or the next zone over, but as we already saw, with the Magidrakes having Hurt More, that's a risky proposition.
Yeah, not quite strong enough at this point to be able to take down the Magidrakes in one go at least, but Gameboy does manage to get to level 3, so some more much needed attack power will be given to him, allowing him to take some of those enemies down a lot easier now. Yeah, so far it looks like this is going to be the slow grind to get to at least something, a big boost in HP, or perhaps at least enough to get through the swamp cave and do some further exploration, or a spell that's useful something here. And we do see Game Boy will now have level 4. We'll see that large HP and MP gain again, but yeah, with no spells, it's just not helping in any way.
Definitely is nice to have those totals so you can chip away at the monsters like the Scorpion, though.
Yeah, Scorpions right now seem to be the best target. I mean, you get 16 experience compared to, say, a Magician, which will just baby breath you down. I don't think we've actually seen a skeleton, as we have in stereo Magician encounters here on Tyerenex and Game Boy side.
It looks like Game Boy's going to go check out the basement of Tantacle to see if there's anything he might find there.
I have to say, I'm a little surprised that neither runner had already checked that sooner with having such early access to keys. Oh, and that cave is actually the tablet cave. And we find in the basement of Tantacle, it is just the Rainbow Drop Cave, affectionately known as the Jerk, as he would have sent you right back out of his cave had you talked to him for not having the token. Oh, and a ton of gold to be found in Tablet Cave for Tyerenex, making good use of the torch that was picked up out of the treasury.
And since he does know where Cantlin is, he can turn that into a hand axe and really start making some noise.
All right, this is a big play for Tyerenex, as Game Boy being the first to go to level 5 with 8 more power, 11 more MP. The MP, all that you could want, but still no spell to use it with. Wow, and we have a Poltergeist sighting for Tyerenex, but he's actually able to do some decent damage to it. Ooh, having baby breath, but some good experience if he takes it down. And that will be Tyerenex to level 5 now, as Game Boy runs into a green dragon. Ooh, and Hurt More and Stop Spell for the green dragon, as if they weren't tough enough.
And now we see their blue counterparts over on Tyerenex's screen.
Well, at least he spent the gold prior to running into it.
And the Magician showing they have heal more. They've got all sorts of tricks up their sleeve.
Well, the good news is that if you can actually do enough damage to, say, the Magicians or anything that has a heal or heal more spell, they will actually prioritize the heal over their regular attacks. It's not guaranteed 100%, but most often it is a 25, 50, or 75% chance to heal at a certain health point. And we find that the town that Tyerenex was so close to is actually Coal. And the armor is found in Coal, so that would be a big boost for Game Boy.
Suddenly, this slow grind is picking up.
That will negate the baby breath damage significantly, along with the hurt and hurt more damage that can be done. Plus, Game Boy can recover some HP just by walking as well. And a Wolf Lord picking on Tyerenex just outside of Sharlock there. And looks like Game Boy possibly in Mountain Cave? Oh no, that was Swamp Cave. Oh, and unfortunately, not much to be found in the back of Garenham. But we have level 6 on Tyrenex's side.
Oh, you get magic and all you have is stop spell.
Oh, that is so disheartening. Finally a spell, and it's only stop spell. But with some of these enemies who've been casting hurt more and heal more, that stop spell could actually be very useful for grinding on some of those enemies. That would be more lucrative, as Tyerenex does find cold themselves now, and will be picking up Erdrick's armor as well. So right now, as far as exploration, finding items and experience, both runners are almost even here. However, Tyerenex having the hand axe will have a bit of an advantage when it comes to physical damage to enemies. And Game Boy actually able to run away from a golem, but runs into a metal slime who will put him to sleep.
I'm not sure what their agility totals are, but they may
And
be
has
so
baby
low
breath.
that, they may be so low that the metal slime won't run away. Though with sleep that might not be beneficial.
No,
I guess
they
I was
will
wrong.
still run. Yeah, wow, sleep and baby breath. What a horrible combination. It's still better than sleep and Dragon Lord breath. Ooh, man, that was a nasty combo. And speaking of that Dragon Lord breath, Race have it. And High Spirits in chat confirming that Game Boy is actually using Cannock from Dragon Warrior 2. See, I believe with the HP count at this point, if either wanted to make a play at the coordinates in Cantlin, they could with herbs. And wow, 15 HP, 10 attack power, and some new spells. We have returned. We can get back to the castle now.
Since everything is within like 8 steps of the castle at this point, that's also a very limited utility.
And not to mention with all the deaths we've had, you know, it's not like we've exactly been having trouble getting to the castle anyway. And Game Boy F9 reaching level 6, and will be disappointed to see that all they get is stop spell from it. But it is still a very good utility spell, depending on what you run into here. And we got Tyerenex restocking keys, while Game Boy F9 takes on a wolf. I believe that's the first wolf we've seen, or possibly second?
Tyerenex did kill a wolf earlier.
Okay. And Tyerenex making use of the return spell to take a few less steps, and we'll be checking the basement of the castle now as well. So we have so far we have had a few cave sightings. We've seen the tablet cave, we've seen the swamp, and we have seen the Rainbow Drop cave. And unfortunately, one of those caves was the swamp leading to the back of Garnham, so you don't even get that as a guaranteed town or a guaranteed basement to be found. So you still have quite a few on the overworld to search for now. That's the only disadvantage of when Garnham leads, or when the swamp cave leads to the back of Garnham, is then you lose that as a option for your exploration as well.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe Tyerenex has actually completed the search of this opening continent at this point. So maybe going to the second continent now to. Gameboy seems to be having trouble getting any monsters to stick around long enough for him to kill them.
That does seem to be the case, perhaps attempting to grind in the wrong area. He is slowly, however, making a comeback in terms of experience, catching up to Tyerenex. We have quite a ways to go before we get to level 8, as that will be 600 experience to get level 8, where perhaps we'll finally see a useful spell. Even seeing heal, or hurt at the moment would actually be a great spell to have.
This is always one of those spots that's really challenging to navigate when it comes to whether you should grind that last level or you should go ahead and explore and risk, just keep continually getting sent back to the castle.
I mean, it depends on what your attack power is. They definitely have a great defense with having picked up Erdrick's armor, but depending on what your attack power is, depends on can you really get anywhere further to take anything out. And we see at level 7 with the hand axe, Tyerenex actually is at 58 attack power. He can take on a decent variety of enemies, but some of those tougher enemies he's going to need to be able to run away from. We can see that Game Boy is actually able to take on these warlocks, which is a decent source of experience. It's only 28 at a time, but at these low levels, 28 is actually a decent amount to gain. And Tyerenex now picking up their Dragon Scale, so they'll be getting that extra 2 defense power boost. And strangely deciding to use a key to exit Garen instead of walking out the back.
It is very nice to have Erdrick's armor this early when you see swamps like that. And Tyerenex coming upon Garen's grave.
Ooh, this could be a good play for Tyerenex as Game Boy is exploring the tablet cave now. Tyerenex perhaps stopping to take a moment to check a map to see where they are actually at.
And now Tyerenex comes across the wonder that is the metal slime.
Thankfully, those baby breaths not doing nearly as much due to having Erdrick's armor, and the slime will run away from Tyerenex as well.
One of the worst things about having slimes that have attacks you don't want to face is that they're very, very difficult to run from because of their high agility.
Oh, so close.
And the fairy flute.
Oh, and the sword! Wow! The stacked grave, so we don't have to search the ward coordinates, we don't have to search Hawksness, we don't care anymore. We have all three searchable items having been picked up now. That is a big find for Tyerenex, as that will allow him to deal a significant amount of damage to a lot of the enemies, taking most of them out in one go now.
All this time that Game Boy has spent grinding, Tyerenex almost completely made up with that one Axe Knight.
And looks like he will be attempting to take on a... Ooh, maybe not with the damage being done there. So it looks like he may attempt another Axe Knight. And we are going to see Tyerenex explore the rest of the grave. At this point, as he did have a key, I can't say I blame Tyerenex for doing so. Might as well check the final two chests while you're here, and if it happens to be the harp, then you are golden right now. Your exploration is done. All you have to do is find, well, not quite. Your item finding is done. You still need to find the shrine cave, at least, for the Staff of Rain, as we do know where the Rainbow Drop cave is. But the Star Wyvern says no. No more exploration for you.
There is a zone somewhere around here with wizards at it that's also near a town, and might be a good place to try to grind for a few moments if you're Tyerenex and have that Erdrick sword.
Or if he can locate the spot where those green dragons were spawning, those would actually be decent to go after now with having Erdrick's sword as well. And we do see Tyerenex actually able to take on these Wolf Lords, which were spawning quite a bit over by Sharlock. Level 8, no spells to be found, so still only stop spell and return.
Get enough hit points to take on the Dragonlord at this point.
And we find Tyerenex also able to locate some Rogue Scorpions. So actually, Wolf Lords and Rogue Scorpions, a great location for Tyerenex right now for grinding on. And making good use of that stop spell now to stop the Rogue Scorpion from sleeping him as well. And Tyerenex opting to continue exploring. Hopefully he remembers that location if they are unable to continue grinding along the way on decent enemies. And speaking of grind, we do have a decent amount to go. It's 975 to the next level for level 9. But with the enemies that Tyerenex is able to find here, we'll make short work of that.
Always feels really good to be in Tyerenex's shoes, and after you've spent so much time trying to chip away at monsters, just to be able to take them out in one swipe. It's a really nice change of pace.
And with the rate that Rogue Scorpions are casting Sleep compared to attacking, makes it very easy to take those out and not really use any resources. In fact, one more Rogue Scorpion and we will actually get to see what level 9 holds for us. Actually, rather interesting to see that the Drakemas are running from both Game Boy and Tyerenex. I guess the Drakema wants nothing to do with them. And Game Boy now finding a Rogue Scorpion, however, without having Erdrick's Sword, not really able to do much damage to it. And level 9, no spells either, wow.
I'm having the feeling this may end up being a Death Necklace seat.
Oh, the health gains, that is certainly possible. Level 9 having over 100 health already is quite spectacular. Now, as far as level 9 to level 10 goes, this is a bit of a jump at 1500 experience, so that is another 525 from level 9. However, again, Tyerenex with the advantage, with having Erdrick's Sword, able to take on some of these more tougher enemies. Probably not a Golem unless he wants to Fairy Flute it, which he can do since he did pick that up. This would be a huge experience boost at 255. Fortunately, the Golem not cooperating and staying asleep currently, as Game Boy finds the Blue Dragon is not to be trifled with. And Tyerenex, not having much luck with the Golem staying asleep, opts to just run away from it. And unfortunately, his bit of good luck running out there on the Rogue Scorpion, unable to run away. So we'll have to start his exploration over again from the castle. That is always the risk and reward with trying to take on a Golem. You have the guaranteed sleep from the Fairy Flutes, but it can stay asleep for 1 turn or 5 turns. You just have no clue how long it's going to actually stay asleep, and its punches will still hurt, even with Erdrick's armor being equipped.
Tyerenex going to see if there's something grindable in Hoxus. Now, I'm thinking that if there's a stone man, or not stone man, an axe knight, that could be usable. I'm not sure what else might be grindable that could appear there.
I actually like that play. If it is indeed an Axe Knight, that would be a great grind spot. Oh no! That is most certainly not an Axe Knight. That is a red dragon and not something you want to see right now. And Game Boy decided to go ahead and check the coordinates. However, we will see that thou must go and fight. That does at least give Game Boy the information that one of the two remaining items could possibly be in Hawksness. However, we know that if he does go to Hawksness, takes out the Fun Police, he will also find that there is nothing to be found there as well.
So now you have to wonder if Tyerenex is going to go ahead and check the spike tile here in the Swamp Cave for the same reason that he just checked Hawksness.
And I have to say that it's not a bad idea if you can locate something favorable such as the Axe Knight to check those spots and get a few more extra levels, allowing maybe a spell such as a heal or heal more, either of which would be great to have right now and allow you to further your exploration since you can heal back up without use of herbs.
Even at that, with this amount of HP and having Erdrick's armor, with the heal more, you could actually grind the red dragons.
This is true. You'd also be able to effectively attempt to grind on the golems with being able to put them to sleep. And even if they do wake up and punch you a couple of times, you can heal that back instantly, as we see a golem punching Game Boy for 42 and sending him back home. Tyerenex does find an Axe Knight to fight that will be another 130 experience for him, and only a little bit more to go before level 10 is acquired. And wow, look at this winding path through the mountains and ocean here. And it's being guarded with it by an Armor Knight who likes to cast Stop Spell, apparently. That is actually good news if you can find a place to continuously grind on Armor Knights if they have a good chance at continually casting Stop Spell. Seeing as how we have Erdrick's Armor, Stop Spell will have no effect at all on our players.
This point, you just got to be begging for something to heal yourself up. If Tyerenex had any way to recover his hit points in a significant manner, could just be blazing through the experience levels at this point.
Yeah, Tyerenex could have even taken on that Armored Knight had he had a heal or a heal more, but with having only access to herbs for your healing method right now, you're limited to 6 of those, and it may just be only enough to heal what you're being dealt right now. And then that's just no fun, because then you're just using each herb to heal, be attacked, heal, be attacked, and it just doesn't end. We finally have another cave on Tyerenex's side. Looks like it will be Mountain Cave, perhaps? Or did he run into the grave again?
Grave.
Okay, so he ran into the grave again. And I believe that is our first werewolf spotting. And Game Boy attempting the grind on the Rogue Scorpion again. Thankfully, Star Wyvern's only having the baby breath rather than the Dragonlord breath. I did actually forget the fact that Tyerenex does, along with Game Boy, have the ability to heal by taking a step, as each step will gain you 1 HP. Not the most efficient way to try and heal, though. Ooh, and especially when golems quickly take away all of the HP that you've managed to heal from walking. And we have a skeleton. They do exist. I'm not sure if we've actually seen skeletons so far.
I don't believe we had. Tyerenex, yeah, that one step at a time recovery sounds good until you keep getting an encounter every step.
Oh, and a big find for Tyerenex, finding the Staff of Rain Shrine. Unfortunately, does not have the harp, so we'll need to make a note of where that was found, so that he can return to it later once he does have the harp. That is sometimes the biggest challenge, is you find the important locations, such as the Staff of Rain, or Rainbow Drop Cave, or even Sharlock, but they're so far away that by the time you need to go back to them, you have no clue where you found it at.
And the next monster Tyerenex kills is going to put him at level 10, which one would hope would yield some type of healing mechanism.
Yeah, right now, a heal or heal more, just any of those two, would be really the thing that's sought after. Hurt more is usually really good early on, but as we're getting later into the levels, we already have Erdrick Sword for Tyerenex at least. Hurt more is not that big a want right now over something to heal with. And let's see what we have.
30 agility.
Oh no! Salt in the wound with hurt there. But that 30 agility, that is a huge defense boost right there. Oh, and
At
at
this
level...
point, we're looking for the Stones of Sunlight Cave and the Mountain Cave, I believe, is the only things we have not found yet.
I believe you are correct. And I mean, look at our stats right now. 106 HP, 82 MP at level 10. By the time they learn Heal More, they're going to be just stacked on the HP MP count. And even on the agility, I mean, agility already 63 at level 10. Little curious as to why Tyerenex... Oh, he didn't have enough gold. I was a little curious why he didn't buy a large shield while he was in Graham, but he didn't have enough gold for it.
Well, he will have enough gold after this battle. We'll see if he goes back for it.
And with no healing, and your only way of damaging really being physicals, more defense right now would be really beneficial, as that does allow you to take more hits, and looks like he will do just that. That's actually a great play from Tyerenex to remember to go do that. And Game Boy with an excellent move on the Spectre, and is furthering his exploration, and we finally do get to see the Stones of Sunlight Cave. sunlight was replaced by a torch. Artificial sunlight. So that leaves us with 5 chests in the mountain cave and 2 deep in the grave in order to locate the harp now.
And these runners, you're hoping that not only do you find the harp when you make that dive, but you also find the death necklace, because it looks like they may be able to make use of it, given the stats of the sea.
Right, the death necklace, as well as potentially the fighter's ring would be a good fun, as well as that extra 2 attack power does help. And looks like Game Boy's actually found a fairly nice area to locate green dragons. Goes for the stop spell strat to prevent the hurt more. Unfortunately, does not seem to be working for him. And a question in chat, is Game Boy anywhere near the grave? He's on the same continent as the grave, but I don't believe he's actually close to the cave.
Yeah, I think he went pretty much the opposite direction from Garanham that the cave's in.
He went exploring up to the north, which did allow him to at least find the bonus cave, which Tyerenex has now found as well, and we get his artificial sunlight. But it does seem both runners have determined that the main continent, there's no reason to explore further on it, as the second continent does seem to be what holds everything, including the larger landmass for exploration as well. Ooh, and that is a great boost for Game Boy. That would get him to level 10 with that excellent move on a Metal Slime for 255 experience. That is definitely a great way to close the experience gap between him and Tyerenex, only being 400 behind now. And speaking of levels, Tyerenex very close to level 11 at this point, as that is 2175 to hit level 11. Maybe we'll get to see a spell, maybe we'll see a huge strength increase like we did the agility, or maybe it will just be a great empty eye level and we'll see a lot of no stats at all. Well, that is actually a pretty good empty eye level, and we get hurt more now.
That can really speed up grinding those Axe Knights, though. So it's not a total bust.
It certainly does help, but what they really want to see is that heal spell, as that has been preventing them from doing so much. That does actually allow Tyerenex to go after the Star Wyvern a lot easier now, with Hurtmore being able to one-shot them in some cases. It just depends on what HP value the Star Wyvern rolled. And Game Boy now finding his Staff of Rain cave. I will make a mental note of where that was located once he does find the harp. And I believe that it is another new cave for Tyerenex, so Mountain Cave? And yes, that will indeed be Mountain Cave. So 5 chests. Will they contain the harp, or will Tyerenex have to A, remember where the grave cave was, and go back to it and dig deep for that harp? Whereas Game Boy will have the advantage of being at a much higher level once he does locate Garen's grave. And when he picks up Erdrick's sword, he will most likely go ahead and dig to the bottom while he's there and see if he can locate the harp. So it could be an advantage on Game Boy's side here. And actually missing what was in that first chest, but our second chest will hold a fighter's ring, so that is at least another 2 attack power for Tyerenex.
The first chest was just a magic key.
Ah, good old magic key chests. Well, and then there's the death necklace you were hoping for.
Which means now, as soon as he comes across the harp, there's no more value in a treasure chest.
One chest left, as that third chest, or fourth chest rather, held gold. So if it is not the last chest here in the mountain cave, he will have to go back to the grave and dig deep. Meanwhile, Game Boy's still searching for that cave. I believe the only things that Game Boy has not found now is going to be the mountain cave and the grave of Garenham, which are the 2 caves he is really searching for, as he has not acquired really anything except for the Stones of Sunlight and Erdrick's armor, so he is still missing almost all of the key items.
But with Tyerenex finding the gold in that last chest in the mountain cave, we're going to be diving back into Garen's grave. It's also interesting because if Game Boy comes across well, never mind. But say if he comes across the grave first, he might not ever bother diving Mountain Cave, but since he just came to Mountain Cave first, that's not gonna matter.
Yeah, that does mean that Tyerenex will be required to go back into the grave if he can locate it, whereas Game Boy will be exploring the mountain cave, and to no avail other than picking up a fighter's ring and the death necklace, which is still good for him if that death necklace does come into play later. And a question in chat from Furon Burgundy: is it pronounced Tyerenex or Tyerenex? I'm actually not positive. I've always heard it pronounced Tyerenex. So Tyerenex. Somebody could correct me if I am incorrect on that.
That's how I believe it's pronounced as well. You'd think I'd be more confident because I've heard him call so many things, but I believe that's how he pronounces it. I'm sure he will correct me after watching this VOD if that's incorrect.
We would hope so. And Game Boy finding his fighter ring and equipping it, so an extra 2 attack power for him now. Meanwhile, Tyerenex is actually furthering his experience lead on Game Boy, being about 900 experience ahead now.
And one thing we do know is that there are a lot of really nice grindable monsters in Garen's grave, since those are what kept Tyerenex from making the deep dive earlier.
That is true. There were some nasties to be found, but he has acquired quite a few levels since his first trip into the grave. Plus, having hurt more now is a big advantage to be able to take out some of those nasties. Speaking of which, gameboyf9 not too far away from that level 11, which will give him hurt more as well. And I believe probably one more kill for Tyerenex here will actually give us level 12, and maybe that all-important heal more spell. And I believe one more enemy for Game Boy will actually give him that level 11. And he will be happy to see hurt more, especially with having 82 MP that will give him at least something to use it with, as Tyerenex does reach level 12. And wow, 25 more HP, so we are at Death Necklace range, but
Still no
nothing
healing.
fancy in spells. Well, we now have a fair amount more experience to go before we get another chance at will we have that spell, as it is 4,125 to level 13 now. So about another 900 before we get to see if level 13 for Tyerenex anyways will hold heal more. Although at this point he seems to be holding his own with that large amount of HP, being able to at least survive multiple hits from enemies and take them out, as he does re-enter the grave.
gameboyf9 putting that hurt to good use. Using it to take out the rogue scorpion.
Yeah, if your physicals are doing less than what hurt can do, oh my god, what hurt can do, I cannot speak today, then it is definitely a beneficial to use hurt in order to do some more damage. Well, we do see Game Boy will reach level 11 and has now got access to Hurt more, giving him the ability to take down, well, this green dragon, actually, that he runs into now.
Yeah, that hurt more is really going to help Game Boy out a lot more than it helped Tyerenex out, just because that's the only way he can do damage, so it's really going to help the grinding speed.
And in the first of two lower chests, we have gold, so another vanilla harp for the tournament.
So we had vanilla harp and vanilla, no, we didn't have vanilla harp.
Alright, so Game Boy will be taking a rest here in Gernham, hopefully checking the shop, as he has enough to buy a large shield, along with a broadsword if one's available there. And deciding to ignore the shop. Maybe he made a purchase already and we just missed it.
Maybe that with having hurt more, and how low his strength is at this point, still figures there's not much of a difference between the club and the broadsword, just because anything he's going to that's going to matter for, he's probably just going to hurt more anyway.
That is fair enough, but at least a shield for some more defense, and seeing as how we have nothing to heal ourselves with would at least be a good purchase. And Game Boy does find the all-important Gernham's grave now, right as Tyerenex makes it to the bottom floor of the grave. So we have now acquired the harp. Hopefully Tyerenex does remember where he located the Staff of Rain Shrine. Tongue twister there. So Game Boy will be very shortly getting the good news of here's a token, here's a flute, and here's a sword.
It's one of those things when you're in that position and you've been going this long and you find out that close to the second continent, you got Erdrick's sword and everything, you have to be feeling way behind at that point.
This is true. It was actually quite some time ago that Tyerenex did find Erdrick's sword, but Game Boy has been at least keeping steady with him. He's only about 1,500 experience behind right now. And with Hurtmore and the sword now, he will be able to easily dispatch of any enemies that get in his way.
Well, Tyerenex just went up to the next level as well and got a whole bunch of power, but still no healing.
Yeah, but those stats are looking very nice at this point. 137 HP, 86 MP, 122 attack power, so only 8 more attack power to be into that area where you really want to be. And then looking at defense power, already at 76, so not that far off from where you want to be when you face the Dragon Lord as well. Actually, at this point, to be fair, if Tyerenex really wanted to, he could go ahead and get his staff, which he has located that cave again, go grab the Rainbow Drop, and go to Sharlock with putting on the Death Necklace. I believe he would be able to win it, so long as he can get to the Dragon Lord.
He still needs to get healed more, though.
Well, that's true. He does still need to get healed more.
But yeah, this level right here is one that, if you had heal more, you might consider actually making that dive and chancing it.
Yeah, if he did have the heal more spell, he would actually be, although not guaranteed, he would be able to go after the Dragon Lord at this point. And he may be going into that swamp cave here soon to check on the enemy, as I don't think he actually did ever check that for his grinding once he does get his Rainbow Drop, or he may just choose to do the just inside Sharlock grind.
As Chad is astutely pointing out, one issue with taking on the Dragon Lord right now is that 76 defense power, because that way, or with only that much defense, the Dragon Lord could actually do up to 52 damage on an attack. So, still could be in a dangerous range, even if your Death Necklace keeps you above 96.
This is true, although if he were to equip the Death Necklace, he would still be at, I want to say, 103 HP, as Game Boy will be reaching level 12 now. And Tyerenex deciding to go ahead and grind on the Red Dragons over in Hawksness. And only about 1,000 experience away from his next level. Oof, and a 40 hit from the Red Dragon sending him back home. But if he can consistently grind those Red Dragons, 4 of them would get him that level. Personally, I think I would be checking the Swamp Boss. I don't believe that has been looked into yet.
Well, it looks like he may be wanting to check out Sharlock.
If it's full of Axe Knights and Star Wyverns, it would certainly be more favorable than those Red Dragons sitting in Hawksness right now. Well, we do have wizards, and they are a great source of experience, and I want to say that he has actually damage broke the wizards here.
I believe he'd need to hit 80 defense to damage break the wizards.
And being speculated in chat, some saying they would try, some saying they wouldn't. At being at 110 into this race, and with as tough as a race as this has been, it's been an uphill battle the whole way so far. If you're Tyerenex, you may feel behind, but maybe not enough to risk going after a Dragon Lord at this level.
Yeah, that's again, it's, as they're saying in chat, it could all be moot because once we get heal more, the levels could be totally different. But I think both of these players you have to feel way behind. Game Boy because it took him so long to get Erdrick's sword and the token, and Tyerenex because he had to double dip Garen's grave. He's got to be thinking, oh shoot, I'm sure Game Boy did that a long time ago, and I'm way behind now. So both of them are probably feeling pretty bad right now.
This is quite true, and yes, it is being noted that heal more is absolutely required. Either that or a much longer grind, which I know I personally don't want to see here. And Game Boy managed to stay within that same about 1600 gap on experience, so not getting any further behind experience-wise, but not being able to catch up either. Well, if you can land enough of those Hurtmores in succession, it could indeed be done with the power of Hurtmore. However, with a 15-16 resistance, I wouldn't give it a try.
I think you'd have to be Trystal to pull that off.
No. You would have to be Nest Cardinale to pull that one off. You'd have to RNG manip the Dragon Lord 2 to get that to happen. To have 3, it would take a minimum of 3 successful Hurtmores in order to take out Dragon Lord 2. So that is 3 15-16 resistances, so a 1 in 16 chance 3 times in a row. And Tyerenex getting sent back home, only 91 experience away.
This one I might decide to go to Hawksness and just take out that one red dragon. Since with this many hit points, you can get one before you need to use the heal more. That'll get him to the next level.
And Game Boy grabbing his Staff of Rain and will be heading back into Tantagel to go acquire his Rainbow Drop as well.
Well, it looks like Tyerenex might be deciding to go check the Spike Tile and Swamp now.
Well, a Green Dragon will get us to level 14, and that 8 power will put us exactly where we want to be on the attack power, I believe. And wow, all of the spells! Level 14 holds everything.
Now it's just a matter of if he can escape from the red dragons and armored knights that might show up in Charlotte.
He is indeed contemplating it here too. Looking at his stats, I would have to say go for it at this point, especially if you still wanted to go ahead at 146 HP. You have 2 options. You can put the Death Necklace on and do 10 to 20 damage, averaging 15, or with such high HP, you can just go for the double attacks. My personal thoughts is I would go ahead and go with Death Necklace, as I would want to guarantee those higher damage hits without having to risk getting doubles. Especially at 80 defense, you're not at what you would be ideal to go in and face the Dragon Lord with, but it's definitely doable. And it looks like Tyerenex wants to get at least 1 more level. And that would be 7,500 required, so almost another 2,000 experience at this point for another level for Tyerenex. So that would be 4 of these red dragons. The good news is he has tons of HP, he has heal more, so he can heal himself through those fights now. And Game Boy could be going with the grind on the way down strategy here, although at the MP count he's at, would not be enough to take on Dragon Lord, so perhaps just doing some reconnaissance and grinding along the way.
Yeah, the grind as you go strategy is also risky without heal more, so...
Once Tyerenex gets his next level, even if it's just 1 MP, that's still at least 1 more heal more, giving you 11. I would be very surprised if he doesn't go for Dragon Lord 2 at level 15. And especially if he gets even more HP, I mean, at 146, you're actually, I believe, at more HP than you could ever heal yourself back up to with a single heal more. And you would actually be at, I believe, 110 HP right now, even if you were to put on the Death Necklace. So you're still at the chance of doubles with 110, except for right now the defense is still very low. Alright, so 2 more of those red dragons will do it, and we'll get to see what level 15 has.
And you definitely can see the difference in grinding with heal more and without heal more as Tyerenex's lead is growing massively by the minute in experience.
Yeah, he has definitely increased that lead, as he is now about 2,600 experience ahead, so I went from a 1,600 gap to a 2,600 XP gap.
Oh, I think that should do it with the extra 6 magic points, putting him with 1 more heal more.
Yeah, with that last level, that should definitely do it. I would, again, I'd be very surprised if Tyerenex doesn't go straight to the Dragon Lord after healing.
Looks like that's the plan.
Oh, I see what he's doing. He wants to be able to stock up on herbs, so the Molder won't do that for him since there's no item shop.
Yeah. There is an item shop at Breckenary, which is right next to Charlotte, but this is pretty close by too, so definitely good to stock up on those herbs, though. Nothing worse than making that dive and realize you forgot to do that.
Yeah, I was a little curious as to what he was doing there, and then when he started heading directly for Cantlin, it's like, yeah, herbs. You want to save every heal more you can, and so usually you'll use those herbs after the fight with the boss monster just before the Dragon Lord. Unless, of course, you have something ridiculous like, 15, 16 heal mores, and you don't need them all, in which case, well, herbs are kind of moot. And hello to you as well, BTs, one of our other tournament competitors. So Tyerenex using return back to the castle, regaining MP at the person there. All right, and we have Game Boy at level 14 now, and at an hour and 20 minutes in, I have to imagine he's going to heal, go down to the Dragon Lord, don the Death Necklace, and make an attempt at it.
Yeah, he's got to be diving here. Oh, it appears I missed it at some point, but he did buy the large shield. So the two of them are on very similar footing, given how empty that last level was. This should be exciting, an exciting end.
Yeah, it'll all come down to what happens and what occurs while diving Sharlock. Will Tyerenex be forced to use some heal mores and abandon his dive? Will he have some issues getting away from some of the enemies, such as the Red Dragons and the Armored Knights, due to the low agility? Although the agility is actually looking really nice at 80 right now. Well, actually, I believe it is higher for Tyerenex, as he is at level 15 now.
Is Game Boy going to grind?
It seems he may. He may go ahead and do a Red Dragon grind for that last level. It seems he may not be confident in the level 14 attempt here. Given the amount of time that this seed has been going and Game Boy's experience, it is a real shocker that at level 14 he didn't go ahead and go for the last ditch effort to dive Sharlock and just take the risk. And even at that, it's not that big a risk.
Yeah, it kind of surprises me for both of them, only because, like I said earlier, both of them have reasons to feel significantly behind. And if you feel like you're behind, you've got to take that chance, even if you feel like it's not a sure thing.
Yeah, I would have to say, with Tyerenex being a bit more new and less experienced, I could see wanting to go for a more for sure attempt, which at 15, I mean, he is basically guaranteed to be able to win. Whereas with Game Boy, having the experience, it really is a shocker. Certainly something to ask both of them in the post-game interview on what their thoughts about going at 14 was, and why they decided not to.
Tyerenex finally getting sick of the Armored Knight blocking him and decides let's just take him out. When those Armored Knights have stop spell, that's probably the best way to go about it.
And Game Boy, meanwhile, while Tyerenex was making his dive into Sharlock, is almost at level 15 with the Red Dragon grind now. So this last Red Dragon will gain him level 15, to which he will have to go into Sharlock and make his attempt, but may be too late.
Yeah, at this point, it's going to have to take some incredibly awful RNG or a mismenu for Tyerenex to
And
lose
with
this one. So,
and with only a stoneman grinding. Oh my terrible voice talking words. With only a stoneman guarding. I'm never gonna live down all these mispronounced things here. Guarding the Dragon Lords. I believe Tyerenex is at a guaranteed win right now, unless something terrible does happen, or he just gets some very bad luck of low rolls. Alright, so this will be, once he does reach Dragon Lord 2, he will be doing between 10 and 20 damage, with averaging 15 per hit. As long as his attacks stay above 15, we have almost a guaranteed win for Tyerenex here.
puts us at 34. $51.
Oh wow, and a
71.
20, a max hit there. Yeah, these damage rolls have just been phenomenal for Tyerenex here. And our first below 15, an 11.
$119.
And
$135.
meanwhile, we do have Game Boy making his descent into Sharlock, but will unfortunately be just a little bit too late.
The next hit could do it. 2 hits will guarantee do it. There we go. Everybody get your GGs out for Tyerenex. With the big upset over Game Boy.
Yeah, that just goes to show you that anything can happen in Randomizer. I mean, we have the reigning champ versus a newcomer, Tyerenex, ranging in the 50s on SRL, but will be taking out Game Boy.
And Tyerenex finishes with an official SRL race time of 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 14 seconds.
And Game Boy taking a little bit of a pause there, seeing the bad news. But he will, looks like he will go ahead and make his way on down and finish this race out as well.
And while we wait to get Tyerenex in chat, I just want to give a shout out to pretty much the entire Final Fantasy Randomizer community for joining us in this race. I'm pretty sure I've seen everybody from Discord in chat at some point today.
Yeah, this was certainly a doozy of a seed. I mean, no useful spells until the much later levels, especially no heal more till 14, when all the spells came in, and unfortunately Game Boy taking a death to a red dragon who just did not want to give.
And he has forfeit after that red dragon.
Yeah, I can't say I blame him there. Dying to a red dragon mid-dive, especially with the defense and agility they're at, although the agility is a decent amount, it still just was not enough to get away from that red dragon for him.
No. We have Game Boy joining us in the chat room now. GG.
Good game. I had about 87,000 encounters in Sherlock, and I was just like, well, I've got a date with my girlfriend coming up, so I decided to throw in the towel. Well done, Tyerenex. Well done.
Yes, GG to you, Tyerenex.
Definitely a well-fought seed there. That was certainly a tough one.
Yeah, I had a very poor start. How did Tyerenex start?
Tyerenex got a little bit of a lead on you because he went into the tablet cave early and got enough gold to get the hand axe, and so he was able to build up a little lead that way. And then first place he went on the second continent was to Garen's grave and got Erdrick's sword.
Okay, I'm here now.
There's our winner.
Hey,
your thoughts on that seed, Tyerenex?
I don't know. I mean, thank you. I don't really know what I do right. I don't know. Did I find the sword early? Because I went to the second continent.
You definitely did find the swords. I wouldn't really say early, but definitely earlier than Game Boy found it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, could I have done that at level 14? That's what I was wondering too.
That was actually something I wanted to ask both of you. Is as far as we could tell, level 14 was certainly doable with equipping the Death Necklace, but you did choose to go ahead and grind to 15, as did Game Boy F9.
Yeah, I thought I was one attack short. Well,
yeah,
and then I ran into 87 red dragons, and so that did me in right there.
It was definitely possible, potentially risky with the low agility and defense, but definitely possible. And a quick question for Tyerenex, just on the pronunciation, is it actually pronounced Tyerenex?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Tyerenex, either works.
I mean, how is it supposed to be pronounced?
It's Tyerenex. That's what. It's actually my druid in my World of Warcraft guild. That's what they all call me Tyerenex, though. It's whatever I'll answer to.
So are you Team Tyro or Team Steak?
Tyro, actually.
Team Tyro. I'm Team Swiss.
All right, so yeah, definitely on that early grind, a very uphill battle. Hurt, not very useful. Then you got hurt more. In the much later levels, finally heal more at 14, allowing you to have a form of healing since heal came along with it. So the grind just not any way of successfully doing so early on until hurt more came along. You could take on the larger enemies, even with having Erdrick's sword. You had no way of healing, so you were taking a ton of damage as well with just physically fighting.
Yeah, I tell you what, though, I really loved throwing Hertz down at that X-Knight that one time.
Yeah, you made pretty good use of those hurts at times.
Yeah, it was rough going. I don't think we didn't get our first spells until 6 or 7. It felt like.
Yeah,
and those were
crazy.
Return and stop spell, but you did actually make great use of the stop spell later on, with running into those rogue scorpions and using the stop spell on them, allowing you to consistently and much more quickly take the rogue scorpions out for the good experience that they give.
Yeah, I mean, it was about the only thing that we could do. I had a little calculator on my computer to kind of determine the average, and I thought I could have done it at 14, but I was like, let's see if 15 gives us a good level up, because HP was really high.
I mean, before level 10, the HP was already over 100, and then the gains just continued up to level 14 yet. 146, and then you got one more for level 15. Like I said, it was definitely possible at 14, but potentially risky. Whereas 15 was a definite guarantee at that point.
There's a little bit of it where you had to get down with all your resources at 14. 15, you might have had the ability to deal with a little bit of something on the way.
Yeah, because I think I ended with 141 attack power and 93 MP.
Yeah, that's what I would have had.
And we only got 6 magic and 1 power from the level up, so it wasn't a huge difference.
Yeah, level 15, it really didn't give you much. It allowed you to use Radiant when entering Charlock. That was about it.
I can't make my way through those places without a torch or Radiant.
Did I miss it, or did either of you check the boss in the swamp cave?
I did not. I was going to, but then I leveled up and I got heal more, and then I decided I could hit red dragons now that I had heal more, so I never actually went over there.
I found a golem. I was able to beat one before, but I didn't have a fairy flute, and I didn't have healing, so that wasn't helpful.
Yeah, how about that token flute sword and harp?
Oh yeah, that was like all back to back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's
All
pretty. That was pretty crazy.
There.
I mean, the grave had everything except for the stones, and then when you explored Mountain Cave, I mean, it had the other things. It had the fighter's ring and then the death necklace.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. For anybody who wants to know how epic of an upset this is Tyerenex's first victory. What a way to get one! What a way to get it!
Yeah, I guess.
And indeed, a victory over the reigning champion.
Oh wow! I mean, I've played a decent amount of Seeds lately, but I mean, yeah, thank you guys. It was a fun one.
Yeah, congratulations and good luck as you. Well, I'd like to say you're going to encounter tougher competition, but
That's true. It was a pretty rough one to start.
Feels bad for the 0-1, as noted in chat that Game Boy would be going up against next week.
Well, I don't know. The way I'm going, I might be going 0-5. So we'll see. But no. So I'm going to go ahead and head out. But once again, congratulations, Tyerenex, and good luck through the rest of the Swiss rounds.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks again. Yeah, I'll head out too. Thanks for casting, guys.
All right, GG, take care. And thanks to all the restreamers and commentary and the tracker. So well done, everyone. And we'll see you all soon.
Great race, guys. Look forward to more in the future. Any other comments, Tilo?
I mean, I think this one just goes to show you that that it doesn't necessarily matter who the two players are. Any game can come out. This was a huge upset. First race versus reigning champion, and you get the upset. It just shows anybody can win on any given day, and so it makes for a really exciting tournament when that's the case. And again, I just have to say congrats to Tyerenex for that.
I couldn't agree more. And I mean, who knows? We have a plethora of very accomplished runners in the tournament so far. We saw Tristal with the loss to Captain Green, and I mean, there may be more in future.
Well, I'm trying to let this give me hope since I have to play Nest Cardinality tomorrow.
Well, I will say this: good luck to you in your race tomorrow. For myself and Tilo, along with our trapper. Oh my God! Just stop me now. Our tracker, Dark Kid, and our restreamer, Captain Green. I'm Ryusation saying, have a good night and look forward to seeing you in the next one.